Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I delightfully welcome you and thank you for attending our 8th grade graduation this fine Tuesday evening. I'm Rohan and I would like to welcome our school board, Superintendent Hurd, Superintendent Emeritus Mr. Johnson, Principal Warner, Principal Humeler, and the assistant principals, Mr. Castaneda, Ms. McGrath, and Mr. Barnhart. I would also like to welcome all the faculty, all our friends, and all our family to our 8th grade graduation. In no simple way can I explain how amazing these years were and how privileged I am to have experienced them here. There were so many interesting events that took place that could never be forgotten. The first thing that set off our middle school years happened before middle school even actually started in 6th grade. The one thing nobody likes to attend, an orientation. At this orientation, we finally got to see who our classmates would be for our next school year. But even more, it finally sunk in that we would soon become middle schoolers, something we had looked forward to for years. But even so, we would now be back at the bottom of the heap, and that was a frightening prospect. Flash forward about a month after 6th grade started. We had our first social. This was at the middle school high school campus, and it was a scooter and skateboard social. And I feel that all the anxiety that we had pent up regarding our new position was finally released through this opportunity. Flash forward once again to 8th grade. Before Thanksgiving break, we had a skating social, and this was more than just my favorite social. It was a metaphor for all our middle school years. As you fell on the ice, there were your friends to pick you up and help you off the ground. As the middle school's years started and come to an end, friendships have grown, died out, and new ones have been forged. Through our 3 years, we had so many classes with so many wonderful teachers. Ms. Humphreys, Mr. Burke, Mrs. Bibby, Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Kiefer, Mr. Gillette, Mrs. Sutt, Mr. Homeland, Mr. Wilcox. These are the amazing people who taught us important life lessons every single day. In particular, there was one lesson I'll never forget. It was in history, 7th period. Mr. Burke taught me a very important lesson that knitting is not an acceptable practice in class. Even though some of these lessons that took place were in a humorous setting, there were other important lessons that can't be forgotten regarding our faith and our Christian character. Through all these amazing people, we were given strong examples of a Christ-loving person, and of all the lessons we learned in our classes, this was the greatest. Another important opportunity we were all given was to attend chapel. Every week, we would all come together on a Wednesday in the MPR after 2nd period. I know for sure that everyone loves singing My Lighthouse, and that includes me, despite my inability to sing well. We had many important chapels where we learned lasting lessons about our spirituality and our faith in God. Of these lessons, the Life Lessons with Mr. Hearn series was of the most prominent ones. This series taught us a very important lesson that who we are and what we do shows other people Christ in us. Chapels weren't just opportunities to sing and have fun together, praising God. They were also opportunities for us to understand more about who God is and who He made us to be. But not everything had to be serious. Some of the most important events that happened were fun ones. For example, Spirit Week. Spirit Week was this amazing week where everyone got to dress up and play fun games together. One problem: before 6th grade, we had only heard of it happening in some far-off land called middle school. But soon enough, Spirit Week came along, and it was amazing. Our first year, the 6th grade class was indomitable, and we beat the 7th graders and the 8th graders. Our fears of being at the bottom of the chain were fully assuaged. 7th grade, we once again had Spirit Week, but this time it was a little different. Different in the fact that we lost. 3rd place. But despite losing our sense of class unity, but despite losing, our sense of class unity had never been greater. As we spent long afternoons in Mr. Keeper's room, decorating and making our hallway decorations. 8th grade came along and there was no Spirit Week. But instead of Spirit Week, we had All-American Week. Everyone in our class was able to take a series of 10 tests evaluating our spiritual and mental strengths. At the end, 2 people were awarded with the All-American Classic Student Athlete Award. Even though we didn't have the Spirit Week we expected, we still had massive amounts of fun pushing our skills to the limits and competing with our classmates. for the final award. Sports were also some activities that many of the students in our class participated in. Whether it was playing basketball on the back courts, playing games in PE, or being on an official Redwood Christian Middle School sports team, unity and fellowship among the students in our class were strengthened through this. I was never a person who really ever loved sports, but one day I found myself on the volleyball team. As the season went on, I actually found myself having something called fun being a part of the team. This enjoyment didn't have anything to do with being able to play the sport at all, because that really wasn't possible. But it had to do with the fact that it strengthened my relationships with my classmates through trials and hardships. As we won and lost games, we became closer, as did everyone else who participated in the other sports: basketball, soccer, baseball, and softball. Not only did we grow closer in sports, but we grew closer through academics as well. See, as 8th graders, we received the opportunity to participate in group science projects. This was some of the most fun I had all year. The projects were all very impressive, whether it was growing crystals, shooting catapults, or even testing rocket engines. They all provided us with some of the most humorous and entertaining moments in our 8th grade year. In history, we were able to research modern immigrants and compare them to immigrants a century ago. This allowed us to have fun as we possibly learned more about our own roots or about other people's journeys to citizenship. English also provided us with an opportunity to learn about the harrowing experiences of many people during the Holocaust and how we can learn from them. Several of us were also able to attend the ACSI speech meet in Fremont, and these 8th graders took home 3 gold medals for our school. As 6th graders, we went to outdoor ed, and this was a lot of fun. I mean, being able to hang out with all your friends together in cabins and learn about the outdoors and God, what could be better? And then, in 8th grade, we went on the Historical Studies tour in the East Coast. This was better than what we could have imagined. We were able to see some of the most important documents in our country's history, as well as monuments and memorials of the sacrifices made by those who came before us to make our home a safe, prosperous land. As we saw at the Korean War Veterans Memorial, freedom is not free. As we saw how our founding fathers incorporated the Bible into our Constitution, we understood how amazing our country is and what a great place it is to live. This 8th grade class has been through many events that brought us all closer together, whether we liked it or not. Out of all the memories we'll carry with us from middle school, the most important are the memories of each other. You have to admit, these last 3 years have been awesome. Once again, next year, we'll be dropping to the bottom of the pile again, but this class has shown the power and inspiration it carries in its weight. Let's show high school what we can bring to the table. Thank you.